to start off with the breaking news. It's everywhere at the moment that Ange Postecoglu looks like the most likely candidate to get the managerial job at White Hart Lane, or the Tottenham Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Listen, let's talk about it, Benny, and then we'll get the view of the football fan, the Spurs fan. So 03717 22 If I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't be blown away by this news. When you look at the managers that supposedly Spurs have approached and have turned it down, Thomas Tuchel, Kompany, Nagelsmann, Slot, Poch, obviously, Luis Enrique. And now they're turning their attention to a guy that's been at Celtic for a couple of years. He's won the league and cup twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to back.
Yeah. Great achievement. But other managers...
Oh, no, you know what? You can't. It is a great achievement, but you can't then use that, because if you say Brendan Rodgers, people try and poo-poo it. So you can't use that as a yardstick.
But no...
And he nearly went treble.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think, no disrespect, right? But there's two big hitters now in Scotland, Rangers and Celtic. So you go to one, you're more likely to win something. Okay. So you look at other successful Celtic managers, Neil Lennon, right? Won 5 leagues and 4 cups, right? These are managers that come down south, don't necessarily carry on that success. Brendan Rodgers was relatively successful when he was the Leicester manager, right? Got him 2 fifth-place finishes.
FA Cup.
And FA Cup.
So he was successful.
Ronnie Delia won the same amount of leagues as Ange Postecoglu. Ronnie Delia, right? You got Tony Mowbray as well. All these managers do well north of the border. If I was a Spurs fan, Gerrard's another one, right? I was just talking about Celtic, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Up there and then
if I was a
down
Spurs fan, I'd be worried about the fact that you're bringing to your club a manager that was successful in a league where it's just 2 teams fighting out, and one of them, 9 times out of 10, is going to win something.
But then is that not like a little bit the same as bringing a manager over from France if he's managed PSG? Because PSG, there's really one team. So
it's a very good point.
Do you know what I mean? Do you put any stock into managers that come from the French league?
It's a very good question. Usually those managers have managed somewhere else before, right?
Do you know what I mean? But even like Unai Emery's been there. Obviously, we're seeing his credentials this season.
Yeah, but we know what he's about, Unai Emery.
Yeah. If I'm Spurs, listen, I don't watch that much Scottish football, if I'm honest, but I watch it. I watch the derby. That's probably the game I do watch.
Yeah.
As you said, I mean, his record at Celtic is incredible. I mean, 112 matches, he's won 62. He's only lost 18 out of 112, which is phenomenal. But when you look at the managers that Spurs have been linked with and they haven't got, the likes of Potter, I know he's not been successful at Chelsea, but I don't think you can really put much credit into that.
I agree.
You've got Brendan there, you've had Nagelsmann. The fact that they've now turned to Postecoglou, you go, why? And also, if you're Postecoglou, knowing that they've been linked to all these managers, why would you want to go there now that you're like 6th or 7th choice?
Well, because it is a step up, right?
It is a step up, but it's...
Do we both agree that Celtic to Spurs is a step up?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay.
I mean, which is the bigger club? Celtic?
Celtic fans would tell you it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very difficult question.
They've won the European Cup, haven't they?
Celtic, yeah, 67.
Yeah.
First British team to win the European Cup.
I'd probably say Celtic are probably the bigger club, right? Bigger fan base.
Yes. But potential is bigger at Spurs.
Oh, with the facility they've got, yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I just think it's a risk, and I just think, me personally, there'll be options I'd have ahead of Postecoglou. I'm not trying to diminish anything that he's done in Scotland, because what he's done is fantastic. But, as we've all seen, the Premier League's a different animal. It's a completely different beast.
I see Postecoglou in the same category as, who is the manager that Spurs got from Wolves?
Nuno Espirito Santo.
That I see him as that kind of same level.
Do you know what's funny? He got off to a good start, do you remember? He won his first 3 games. I think he won them 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. One of them was City, and he also won Manager of the Month.
Right. But where is he now?
And they just tailed off.
Yeah. I see that. Spurs, if Spurs want to be dining at the top table,
go and get Nagelsmann or Rodgers or even Potter. They're there.
I agree.
Ready to go.
Now, actually, with talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Cook. We'll go to the phone lines in a moment, 03717 223344. But first, let's say hello to Crookie. Hi, Crookie, how are you?
Yeah, good afternoon from sunny Portugal. I'm very well.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow, you're working on a holiday, are you?
I'm doing it as a favour to your producer and because I love you two so much.
And it's in your contract. Let's not forget that, I imagine.
How was it, Crookie? How's the weather?
Oh, it's sensational. Absolutely sensational.
If people are watching on YouTube, they should be aware that you've got no top on whatsoever. You've come in from sunbathing for this?
Do you know what? I didn't have a top on until about 5 minutes ago, but I wasn't going to inflict that on the viewing public.
Thank goodness for that.
It's just a quick question for you. You're definitely on holiday, right?
I am.
You've got a talkSPORT mic in front of you on holiday.
I've told you this before, Andy. It goes everywhere just for this eventuality.
Ever the pro. We love that. Listen, I mentioned earlier on to Bent at the top of the show that Spurs have approached Thomas Tuchel, Vincent Kompany, Nagelsmann, Slot, Pochettino, Luis Enrique. They've all turned the job down, supposedly. Postecoglou now is top of the list. What does that tell you about where Spurs are at?
Well, it's a big list. And in fairness to Tottenham, their message all the way along has been that there hasn't ever really been a preferred candidate, if you like. But I think we can say with some certainty that Ange Postecoglu is now, at the very least, a leading contender. I think out of some form of respect to Celtic, they're not going to make any kind of formal approach until next week. They've got the Scottish FA Cup final this weekend. If they win that, and you would imagine they will, that would complete a domestic treble for Postecoglou. And probably from his perspective, he might just feel that he's gone as far as he can with Celtic, as much as he'd be walking out on Champions League football next season. And I don't want to disrespect Celtic in any way, but it is a step up, isn't it, to come to the Premier League, to manage a club like Tottenham, who are in a bit of disarray, having failed to qualify for Europe, but they've still got that fabulous stadium. At the moment, they've still got Harry Kane, and we broke the story last night that they're confident he will stay and see out the final year of his contract, so that's going to be a big boost for Spurs as well. What's interesting here is that I think Tottenham wanted a young, up-and-coming coach. Postecoglou doesn't necessarily tick that box. He's 57, so he's not a veteran, but he's not a youngster either. But they do like the style of play that he's implemented at Celtic. They think it will excite the fans at Spurs. The fan reaction so far has been fairly downbeat to this potential appointment. But there is a connection on the Spurs board. Scott Munn, a fellow Australian, he's coming in as Tottenham's new chief football officer. So he'll basically be assisting Daniel Levy. He knows Postecoglou well, so I think that's certainly a big draw.
Quickly, if they do appoint Postecoglou, as you said, will he be given time to rebuild? Because we as you said there, we know that's not a quick fix. There's still the Harry Kane situation. They're losing players. Lucas Moura's leaving. They need to strengthen the squad. Will he be given time to do all of that?
I think that's definitely the aim. They want a project manager, somebody like Pochettino, who's going to build something. He's going to improve the players they've got there already. He's going to bring through young talent. So again, I think there's a lot of ticks in the Postecoglou boxes on that front. And they know they've got a bit of work to do, Tottenham, to catch up with other members of the so-called Big Six, because it was a really disappointing season, wasn't it? I was having this conversation earlier, actually. When they sacked Antonio Conte, they were still very much contenders for the top four. I don't think they'd have finished in the top four. I think they would have qualified for Europe in some capacity had they just stuck with Antonio Conte.
Yeah, agreed.
Listen, Cookie, I can't look at that bulldog tattoo any longer, so I'm going to let you go. Thanks so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
I will. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
There you go, the wonderful Alex Crook. Let's go to the phone line and see what Spurs fans make of it. 0371722 3344 is the number that Derek, I'm sure he's a Del boy, has called. Hi, Del. You all right?
Yeah, I'm definitely Del boy. I'm 65 years a Spurs fan, long suffering. And all I can say is that the traits that any manager from Scotland in this modern day, I don't think they're translatable to the Premier League. And one of the issues that I have with Spurs is when, after Conte went, they need a manager who's going to pick players up off the floor. I don't think we've got time to give them time, yeah, because next season, if they don't hit the floor running, yeah, because some of the players we've got are very good. I'm not talking about Harry Kane, who's world class. He's the best number 9 in the league, and that's the end of it. There's no issues with that. Earlier, you said about Haaland and Harry Kane. Haaland was taken off twice against Spurs. One of the things I've got is that they should have, when they picked a manager or started to approach a manager, they should have made it impossible for him to turn it down, and they didn't.
So Derek, what I'm gathering from this call is that you wouldn't be happy if Postecoglou come in, and if not, who would you like to see then come in?
They should have gone back. Whoever they picked, I mean, I don't know too much about Enrique and the others and what they get up to over there, what their style of managementship is. But whoever they identified, because they remember how long ago Conte went, right? So they've had months, right, a couple of months to actually identify the target. And once they identified a target, they should have made it impossible for them to turn us down. Because without the right manager, I don't care who they get, without the right manager, he's got to pick our team up from a disastrous end to the season and he's got to make them into top 4 contenders next year. You can't say, I'll give him time. We've got the best number 9 in the world, and you don't need time for a manager. What you need to say is, we've appointed the best manager available, and we've made it impossible for him to say no to us.
Yeah, Derek, I think you're right with that. I think you need to appoint a manager, but I think all managers need to give him time.
Oh, they have to.
Yeah, have to.
They have to.
Spurs have finished 8th. That's not good enough for Spurs.
That's awful. That's awful.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.